Hello everyone! It's us again! It's RTF 25! And today we bring you very loud music. And also besides that, we bring you free showcases. SOEW Lunatic Scoring Showcase, LLS Extra Scoring Showcase, both by our friend Myler the Seal, and then HRTP by the greatest HRTP champion, Moo021. Today I am here with you with the incredibly skilled and talented, if it would just ever load, Kirby Comment. What's up?
Hey there, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Was a little bit tired yesterday, but I do feel more energetic now, so we're about to see Myler have a Touhou 2 just Lunatic scoring showcase. We're gonna see what is going to be different about this game when you're scoring compared to survival that we saw yesterday. So, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, we certainly had quite an incredible day yesterday, so lots of things that, in case you missed, you should go back and see. Well, why don't you introduce us to the event then, Kirby Comment? Just a second, and... Ha! Here we go then!
Right, so with this game, or yeah, with Retro Toast Festival, we are doing an event that is similar to kind of like Touhou World Cup, but this is going to be for the PC98 games. And there's also going to be a few other games that are going to be showcased. Players are going to be competing in scoring or survival. There's also going to be a few other things here and there, but we're going to see those events as we get to them, and it's going to be a showcase that we're going to be seeing for the next few hours, because we do only have one player for each of these categories. I mean, some of these are a little bit unpopular, but yeah, alright, so we're going to go to the differences in SOEW. There's a lot of things that are kind of missing because this was Zoon's first actual shmup, so there's going to be some things that you're not really used to seeing, or you're not used to be present at all. So yeah, there's no visible hitbox. You are going to have to really kind of know where your hitbox is. It is basically just a small square up until, you know, at least the USD where there was no hitbox. There's no auto collect. That means there's no POC, no point of collect. Not even when you're bombing. So that's gonna make things a little bit more interesting. No replays, of course, because PC98 didn't really support that. No practice mode. They do also have a different aspect ratio. It's not really too relevant for the gameplay, but it's a thing. Bosses are divided into phases. However, in SOEW, it is actually not really that well defined. It's not like the phases just end and you have point items that get spawned in. It kind of all happens, I guess, more organically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rainbow has purple hair. I guess purple was the color of choice back then. No grays. Grays has no impact on anything in this game, even if you wanted to imagine grays being a thing. No death bombs, so if you get hit, you die. No exceptions. There's 5 stages. Maybe that was just kind of what Zoom wanted to do for this game before it became the standard 6. No timers. That is mostly true. There are a few. There's a few patterns in the game that do actually have a timer, but we'll get to them as we get to them. No focus key for Touhou 2 and 3. It was not introduced until Lotus Land Story, so that means that the movement that you have when you start the game, that's what you're gonna get. The different shot types do have their own movement speed. We're gonna see what shot type Myler is gonna be using, and we'll get to it as we get to it. Yeah, and then
As far as the other game that we'll see today is concerned, we also will see HRTP, which, as the slide says, isn't even a shmup.
Nope, it is not. Like, it does have shmup elements because you do dodge bullets, but you're confined to basically a horizontal line. You can only move left or right, and you have to hit panels to clear stages, and then you have to kill bosses with your yin yang orb instead of just shooting things. You can still shoot in the game, but shooting does not serve the same function as it does in other games.
It's
and you
funny
also have
seeing
some
people
other
play
moves.
HRTB the first time and then try to shoot the bosses and it doesn't hurt them.
Nope.
Yeah.
They do actually collide with bosses, but it doesn't actually really do anything. And yeah, that's really about it for this slide, I think.
Yeah. And as for, the players themselves, today we'll have two distinct players. We were originally meant to have a SOEW extra scoring showcase, but Pearl sadly could not come due to complications that he had at his job. So it is okay. Myler decided to step up and then show us some LLS extra to compensate for that. Well, Myler, as we can see, is an absolute super player, a very old school super player as well, back from the 2000s, and an original PC98 player way back from the 90s as well.
Yes, very unique player to have started so early in the series history and still being around. However, I'm not actually personally very sure what he was doing around, like, I don't know, the early 2010s and before then. I don't know if he was necessarily around, but it is nice to see him here.
Yeah. Well, back then, the communities used to be a little more isolated, so there is that. I mean, I am glad that we still have Myler around. He's probably the oldest super player to still be in the game, the oldest active super player. Maybe also in age as well. Myler is quite an aged fellow, but we love him for that. He brings a very unique experience we normally wouldn't be able to have.
For sure.
Yeah.
And as you can see, he holds 3 overall world records. And I would say the SUAW and MS1 in particular are very good. I think LLS still has a lot of potential left in the game.
Yeah, he's just a completely insane super player. Even at this point in the game, he still actively holds a lot of world records. Don't underestimate our guy. Yesterday, he had a Rainbow B free miss in the SOEW competition. Bravo to him. SOEW is a very special game to be played survival, and I am very glad that he managed to still get a good finish despite everything. He got 4th place, but it was also just such an incredibly strong match. So, bravo to him again. Please, a standing ovation for Myler at the end of the stream. He fought tooth and nail for the right to be here today. So we're very glad to have him. Well, we'll start the showcase in just a little bit. We'll start at the hour. And then we'll start the countdown for him. He will showcase the game he will showcase first SOEW and then LLS Extra.
Yep, it's going to be a back-to-back for him. It is at least nice that he was able to find a replacement event for Pearl not being able to make it.
Yeah. We will start very soon. Right. I'll start the timer and then Myler can start his stream when he's ready. Very well.
All right, looks like we're about to start. He's about to start the game, I think. Timer's going.
Yeah. Okay, I see that he's going. Let's go, Myler! And now let's give him audio. What shot type is he using, huh?
Okay, it looks like he's using a Reimu A. Reimu A is the fastest moving shot type in this game. It is determined by the shot type you're using. A is the fastest, B medium speed, C slow speed. So for score, this is also the best shot type to use solely because of the move speed. Because in this game, you don't have POC, so the game is going to be entirely based on how efficiently you can pick up points items. And I guess also a little thing to point out is that items in this game, and for the other PC98 games as well, the items fall significantly faster than you're used to in the Windows games. They basically accelerate the more time spent that they are dropping down. So, as for the shot type itself, like in terms of shooting, Reimu A has a very wide spread. You don't really see it yet because of the power, but we'll see it soon enough. At full power, she also gets piercing shots, and they also have a special property where if you hold it down, the spread actually gets even wider, and if you move down and then start moving around just constantly, that still keeps that spread going. It's a pretty unique way of having a shot type function in a game like this. I don't think there's any other Touhou game that really does that, and frankly, I'm not even really sure how much of this was even intentional, but yeah, that is how the shot works. On low power, or like I would say medium power, like right now, I think also green power, which we had earlier, the shot type is also very strong when point blanking, but you are going to want to get full power, or at least close to full power. Like, the optimal strategy is actually to never die in this game, because when you have full power and you pick up power items, you get more points out of them. It's basically like a chain that goes up to 12,800 points times 4 in this case, because this is Lunatic. But you're going to see that this is completely unviable in a real-time setting, because, well, first of all, you need to collect items manually. So you're going to see, well, you see he's suicided. So again, I said, no miss is kind of unviable for a game like this.
Items. You drop some point items when you die in this game, which is funny.
Yeah, you drop point items in the PC98 games. It doesn't happen in the Windows games, probably because you didn't think it didn't really make sense.
Because it kind of doesn't, yeah. By the way, yeah, going back, widening your shot spread is actually a thing in one single shot in Windows. It's actually a thing in Sakuya.
Yeah, I think that is right. Yeah, I forgot about that one. You're right.
Yeah, clearly it's a reference to SOW, clearly. Especially this late on.
I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily on purpose that it was a reference, because it's also not Reimu who has the wider shots like that, but... yeah, so anyway... The reason why you do actually want to die in this game, at least on Lunatic, is because, again, you need to collect items at max value, near the top of the screen, at least, and the only real way to do that is to bomb a lot, because every enemy in this game on Lunatic shoots revenge bullets. It's always 2 shots, one that's slower, one that's fast, and they're always directly aimed at whichever position you were at when the enemy was killed. And so there's a lot of enemies in this game that spawn in random horizontal positions, so it also becomes really hard to really predict and route out, ways to collect items without dying. And you would rather not die with bombs while you're trying to be greedy. But yeah, the whole point of not no-missing the game is because you just need the bombs to be able to collect items safely. one side effect to this though is that whenever you use bombs, a lot of times enemies just die instantly, but you cannot really tell what items are going to be dropped by what when the items are effectively being spawned from off screen. Like there's like 1 pixel that you can see at the top of the screen. Yeah, there's 1 pixel that you can see of the item, but it doesn't really tell you what is what. Also here we have a vertical safe spot. If you sit in a certain vertical alignment and then just go left and right like this, you collect the items and you dodge the revenge bullets, so that saves you some bombs. And it's also, just for score, way better and more consistent. Depending on the shot type that you're using, you do sometimes have to fire a bit more slowly, just because of how quickly the enemies get killed. But here, I think he can just shoot quickly, and that is also one thing that we have to mention, and is that when you tap Z repeatedly in this game, you actually shoot faster, and that is definitely not an oversight, that is on purpose, because it is mentioned in the manual. Now here's a survival.
And Byler, by the way, does not use an auto fire. He told us yesterday.
Yeah, he does not use auto fire. Like if you're experienced in this game, it is pretty obvious whenever someone is using auto fire or not, or at least if you're using auto fire that is like 30 hertz or something. But yeah, like he's definitely not using auto fire.
Oh, here's Mayor, the great gatekeeper from yesterday that kept a lot of people stuck in the early game for very large swaths of the 75 minutes they had to reset.
Yeah, she has some patterns where she spawns bullets from this V shape. And there's a lot of fast random bullets that spawn from there, and if you get unlucky, you can just get sniped very quickly. And again, if you get hit by something, you die because there's no death bombs. Okay, so he's probably gonna use a bomb to set up to kill a bunch of these enemies. And it is also good that you kill enemies while they're not at the very top of the screen, so you can see what the items are that you're trying to pick up here. So ideally, if you can, you want to bomb without any enemies being off screen as they spawn in. But oftentimes you can't really get away with that. Now, when you do bomb in this game, you do actually get penalized for it in the clear bonus, but the clear bonus is so insignificant in this game that you do actually just want to die for your bombs. And also here you can see that those mid-bosses die very quickly because of not max power point blanking.
Way back in the day when you didn't have POC, you just had to make do with what you had.
Yep.
Especially since in this game, by the way, something that wasn't mentioned, but I mean, maybe it's obvious to infer from the footage, but still it's worth mentioning. Unlike the later PC98 games, even when you use your bomb, you do not suck up the items. Even in the LLS, it already does that, and in this game, it doesn't.
Yeah, we did mention that when you bomb, even that does not POC. So the bomb is strictly there just so you can manually pick up items safely. And well, in the case of Meira, it is to use them for survival. Depending on what kind of resource route he wants to be using, he will have some spare bombs that he can use. He can afford some mistakes, but it also kind of depends on what he is going to do, also for this showcase. Because he probably does want to prioritize on finishing credits. So there's a little bit of an interesting thing here. You can see that sometimes enemies do not show up. It's actually because there's an enemy cap in this game. I believe it is like 15 enemies that can spawn at once on the screen. So he needs to actually strategically kill some enemies early just so he can circumvent that cap from activating. But I think there was some enemies that did still not spawn there.
Have the 5 evil orbs now.
Yeah, so these do actually have a timer. If you do not kill them with a certain amount of time, they will just self-destruct. That's at least the case for these first 4. I believe it's also the case for the 5th and final one, but you do need to survive a pretty long time for that to happen. I forget if you get penalized for it in the score, because it wasn't really obvious, but whenever you kill enemies, you do still get points just for killing them outright. And that is true for mid-bosses and bosses as well. So these 4 orbs that were just killed, they give a pretty sizable amount of points. I think it's about... I think it was like... I forget exactly what the amount was, but... they do give quite a lot. So it is important that you do get those points. So it should be about dead right now. There we go.
Yeah, nicely handled.
Also, I was wrong. The enemy cap is 25. So you mainly see it in stage 3, like when those invulnerable enemies show up, that were the red ones. I think in most other cases you don't really see it.
That makes sense. Managing the memory of the game, because it's so badly optimized, and also it likes to spam enemies, is an element here. Not surprised to hear that.
Yeah. There's also a more limited bullet cap in this game. The bullet cap is 150 bullets. So, and you do see the bullet cap get reached, I think, at least by the time that we see Mima. Especially with the rank that Myra's gonna have by this point. Which is also something that was not explained yet, but rank is basically this thing in shmups that basically is like a real-time artificial difficulty thing that is being employed, and it basically, in this game, all it really does is increase the speed of bullets. So, if you're at low rank, things go slower, so that means, bullet caps can get reached more quickly. And the way that rank is determined here is solely by time. There's nothing else in this game that increases rank. It is just simply based on how much time has basically been spent without you dying, because dying is also the only thing that decreases rank. And you need to go about, I think it's like 8 or so minutes, 9 minutes, for your rank to max out. I think it's like 2 rank that gets increased every 20 seconds or so. So,
Myler's playing risky here, completely out of lives.
Yeah, so if you're doing an Len'en
one, right?
Yeah, you do get a life from this one. At least if you're not at max lives. Yeah, he's gonna get one more extend also on Mima's after the first phase. Mima is basically the only boss that really has defined phases, quote unquote, because every time a phase ends, she will award you with items. She just gives them to you, just based on the animation. It's not like the items just leak out of the boss or something, It's like, here, you have some items.
Or something. Probably the excuse that Mima would have.
Alright, so coming up is Marisa. Back when she had red hair.
And short hair as well. No safe spot. Safe spot became meta recently, but I guess he doesn't use it. It's not like you can graze in this game, so safe spots aren't that mandatory. And yeah, I know we only mentioned that in the slides, but just to reinforce, no graze.
Yep, no graze. So, I don't know if Myler is going to do this in this fight, but Marisa does have a timer, but it's not like a timer based on seconds, per se. It is more that she will basically spawn 7 sets of orbs, and when she tries to spawn the 8th set of orbs, she will instead just self-destruct. So it is time-based, but not specifically like a rigid time. It just depends on how quickly you kill these orbs. And while these orbs are active, Marisa is invulnerable. So generally, when you're doing a score run and you try to be optimal, you will kill 2 orb sets and then stop shooting while she has no orbs, because when she has no orbs, she will be vulnerable. And these orbs give, I think it was 50k points per orb. We'll see it again if we see these being killed right now. It has been a while since I played, so I don't remember the values as well. Let's see.
Ow!
He is gonna have to be careful here.
It's pretty solid score pace, but Marissa is a very dangerous boss. For more information about how Marissa works, we explained in pretty great detail yesterday on the SOEW survival match. He's a pretty complicated boss fight and also extremely unusual if you're not familiar with Windows Touhou. If you're just familiar with Windows Touhou, rather.
Okay, it's 50k, yeah. 50k per orb. So yeah, you basically want to kill as many of these orbs as possible, because with the kind of score that you get in this game, that amount of score, like 200k per orb set, does matter quite a bit.
So Myler still has 1 life remaining because Mima drops a life, like we said. One of the item sets that she drops is a life. Yesterday we saw that the players made a pretty big ass out of the first half of Mima, the non-TLB half. Don't be mistaken, Mima is extremely hard. The players yesterday were just extremely talented on managing Mima specifically, because Mima consistency is very mandatory if you want to LNN. Myler has almost 20-year-old LNNs in this game at this point, so he's definitely not lacking in skill.
He's just gonna have to survive this first phase.
47 million is the score that Myler told me he wanted to achieve, so that's very good. Congrats, Myler.
So he's already achieved it, but he probably also wants to clear. So yeah, at this point, he's probably not going to do anything fancy in terms of score, because there's not really anything you can do at this point. It is... by the end of this fight, he will probably suicide at the very end just to get a few more items, and then he's going to bomb spam the rest of the fights just so it can be finished. And when you clear the game, you also do get 1 million static bonus when Mima dies. You do not see it in you do not see it getting counted up, but when you get to results screen, there will be 1 million added. So. And you might have seen it earlier, but when you get to your last life, you actually get 5 bombs.
Yeah, and it's something that isn't relevant normally in the survival category, but yeah, if you play for 1cc or for scoring, you get 5 lives. You get 2 more lives than your stock on your final life. So you get 5 in the main game, and you get 3 lives in the main game on your last life. Here's the suicide score.
Okay, so he's actually suiciding a bit earlier than I'm used to. Like, I usually just bomb on the TLB, or suicide and bomb on the TLB. But he's gonna be on... Yeah, this is gonna be the TLB phase now, so at this point you can basically just use up all of your bombs and... yeah, it's just going to be easy.
And not dodge anything, because this phase is horrible.
Yeah, there are some bullets here that have very big hitboxes, kind of unfair hitboxes. So...
Well, that's an incredible first run of the day. 49 million!
Very, very good. It was 49 million, that's very close to the record. He has played this category a lot, though, so it is probably not that hard for him to have a consistently good score. And, you know, even 49 million would still be 7 million ahead of the second highest score player-wise. Which, by the way, is me. I have 42 million. But I have also not played... Yeah, but I've also not played as a category very much because I just didn't really care that much. But I thought 42 million was still pretty good. It was the record for quite a while.
Myler is toasted. Come on, Myler. You were less than 1 million off the world record, which is yours, by the way. So that's some crazy consistency. Congrats.
Yeah, it is worth noting that the PB that you see right here, he actually got that quite recently too. He got 50.2 million a while back, and that was basically his final goal, 50 million. But then when he was practicing, I think for this event, he actually beat his PB by about 300k. So I don't think he even expected that. Very good. I think that's gonna be an overall record that is going to stay for a very, very long time compared to other overall records.
Yeah, Myler really likes this game. Myler really likes the SOEW Lunatic scoring category as well. It's not very popular, but he's extremely good at it, and he absolutely rules it, as we can see. Some real classic super player gameplay footage we just observed. Going to get world record live? Maybe. I mean, maybe he will switch shots as well.
If he switches shots, then it is probably a bit more likely that he can, because at least like in terms of like the records, Rainbow BNC are definitely not as optimized, but he also doesn't play them very much, so it makes sense. But he did beat the old those records of mine too, because I held the BNC records too. But since he has so much experience just playing Rainbow A Lunatic, it was not going to be that difficult for him to beat those scores, because I think they were 36 and 39 million C and B respectively, and now they are definitely a few millions higher at the very least.
Well, as we can see, it puts him at 5th in his leaderboards. Congrats, Myler. 49 flat.
Very nice. And you can also just see like the consistency in his scoreboard. So you know that he's played this game a lot. It's not like he has like 50 million and then on 5th place it's like a 20 million stage 4 game over or something. You know, he's actually played this game a lot.
He's going
Right,
again. He's going again on Rainbow 8. See, some very good consistency here. Well, I say consistency and then he immediately resets, but it's okay.
Yeah, he missed the point item because either he didn't expect it to be a point item or he didn't think there was going to be 3 items. That is, I guess that's also a thing to explain. There is a tiny bit that you can actually predict what items come next. It is basically, it is determined by the category of enemies that you find. Like, you have enemies that drop an item every 3rd enemy you kill, which are these ghosts, these bakebakes that you kill here. Every 3rd of them that you kill awards you an item. And so these items do actually spawn in a set order, but where in the order the item starts, that is random. So I think that was a bomb item right there, actually. Well, that's actually a pretty good thing to explain too. This specific group of enemies that can spawn an item every 3rd enemy you kill, within that category of enemies, there is a 1 in 512 chance that the item will be replaced with a bomb item. And whatever item would have been dropped, otherwise, if it wasn't a bomb item, that the game is still going to consider that to be like, oh, okay, let's continue the cycle of whatever item comes next. So it's not like ideally you want to have want to see a bomb item get dropped that otherwise would have been a power item, because then, you know, that saves you on score even more. If you have max bombs, you would actually get 65,000 points times 4. But that is a pretty rare occurrence when considering that you suicide a bunch in this game and use bombs.
Yeah. Very meaty score bonus there. Sadly, he rammed into the enemy, which, well, means it's a reset for now.
Yeah. And also, as far as the 1 in 3 item drop enemies is concerned, the order is like at least, you know, going from like from a random point. It's power, points, power, points, points, power, power, points, points, power. Not really relevant, but if you are very intimately knowledgeable about the order of items that get dropped, you can kind of predict what gets spawned, even if you can't physically see the item. Because again, if you kill enemies at the very top of the screen, you won't really see what item gets spawned until they start accelerating downwards. Also, you might have been able to see it, but sometimes Miter actually kills enemies from above, and that is actually because in this game your shots actually kind of shoot out from a lower point on the screen, so you can actually use your shot to kill enemies from below. But you do have to be very careful, first of all, not to run into enemies, but also not get hit by bullets that are effectively being point blank shot at you. Also, yeah, in this game it's a little bit more annoying to reset because you have to quit the game, and it's like, oh, are you sure you're going to quit? And then the game prompts you. Yeah, and then it prompts you to use a continue for some reason.
Also, he picked Ring B here, which might have been an accident. We'll see.
I didn't even notice that.
It probably was.
Yeah, probably not on purpose. I mean, he probably just rolled with it. Alright, so yeah, and I just talked about, that group of enemies where 1 in every 3 items is, or 1 every 3 enemies killed is an item. You also have enemies that just simply spawn a static item, like a point item or big power item, or something like that. The big power items you generally see only in the extra stage. And then you also have enemies that just strictly drop point items, but so it does become pretty obvious what group drops what. But the most relevant one is the one with the random drops. Also because that's the category of enemies that can drop bomb items. And that is also why in Extra it is actually way more rare to see bomb items, because there's only 2 short sections in the game, or in the run, where you can get bomb items. And that is on the small, like, evil eye enemies that come from the side of the screen, and they shoot the big round bullets downwards. Those are the only enemies that can drop the bomb items. Everything else in that stage drops static items.
When I got a bomb in Extra recently, it was pretty shocking. Like, whoa, didn't know you could get a bomb drop in Extra. I even got a clip of it.
Yeah, I had a clip of it, like, from many years ago too. And back then I didn't even know about the little details about what I just explained, but yeah, it's interesting, and sometimes I kind of feel like if you get a bomb item once, there's a pretty high chance that you'll get a second one soon after, but I don't think that's true. I think that's just it just feels that way. It's not really true. So yeah, I think at this point Mario's probably going to be a bit more strict with when he's going to reset, because he probably does want to have a higher score ending this showcase, besides what he just got. But it wouldn't be bad if he eventually stopped resetting too.
Yeah, well, I updated the layout here real briefly with the score he got, roughly a 49.05 million. Very solid, extremely solid score to get first credit, no reset.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, so he probably wants to get a higher score than that, but ending on a score like this is more than respectable. Absolutely. So I guess I can also cover clear bonus, since I did mention it, and like I said, it is not really as relevant for a score run of Lunatic, at least, because you want to keep using bombs. Because there are some components that that are determined by how many times you die or bomb. So you basically already get a static 6,000 points based on the difficulty level. It's based on 2,000 times the difficulty level, going from 0 to 3, easy to Lunatic. Then you get it's called like a stage bonus, I believe, but what that is just rank. So the higher your rank is, the more you get out of that bonus, up to like 6,400, I think. Then you have a bonus that is 2,500 minus 500 for every bomb that you use. And then you have a life bonus, which is 3,000, which decreases by 1,000 for every death you have. And then there's also a bonus for the initial lives and bombs, but because for scoring and for it to be competitive, you generally just want to go with default lives and bombs. Generally speaking, non-defaults are invalidated. But if that didn't matter, then you would actually want to start with as few lives and bombs as possible.
Really, you think so? I mean, what would change about it exactly?
Well, you would basically get a bigger bonus, but well, you did kind of question like, oh, why is it? Well, it's more like in the ideal circumstances you would want to do that, at least on Lunatic. It is more just a theoretically optimal thing, because it's kind of impossible to not have this many have so few resources and score more. You can't really do it. That is mostly something that is reserved for a TAS. And I think even the TAS in this case actually gets more lives and bombs to start with. I forgot if it was the default or actually more than the default, but the TAS actually suicides a lot just for the extra items that it gives you.
Yeah, I imagine that, I mean, TAS, I wonder if TAS would also try to RNG manip enough to try to get all four point items every time.
Yes, that is something that happens in the TASes of this game. Also the extra stage. One thing it does not manipulate though is the bomb drops. So neither of the two TASes actually have any bombs, and like optimally you would want to see bomb drops for every time the item would have been a power item. Like, I feel like you could score significantly more if that was the case. But maybe it is not possible to do it realistically. Like, maybe it is too hard to manipulate, or the tasker who did it simply wasn't interested in doing it. Like, I feel like it would be...
It sounds like it's potentially not even possible, because computers can only roll a certain amount of random numbers and within a certain range, and sometimes in the way they calculate that, it might result in a few outcomes not actually being possible in the way we might think they are, which could mean that, four bomb items together is probably completely impossible because of the way the RNG works. That's also a possibility.
I think it's also it's also because you can only do so many things in this game to change RNG, depending on what changes RNG. But I do know from experience, for example, that in MS, for example, if you kill enemies on certain frames, that will change RNG for a lot of things, like where enemies spawn, if they spawn from a random position. So, just as a random example, if you check out the MS Lunatic task for Stage 2, you will see Mima shooting very selectively and also killing enemies at certain times just to get them to all spawn on one side of the screen, so it can just pick up all items. And but yeah, that is generally kind of how you manipulate RNG, and I feel like that would be the case in a game like this too, especially considering there's no Grace, because Grace oftentimes also changes RNG pretty much on the fly. But well, in this game you can't even do that, so Yeah, I feel like
Bad
there's
here.
very few avenues for RNG manipulation in this game. Like,
The
I think the
easiest way you
most you
can
could-
manipulate it in LLS and MS, for example, like he said, is Grace. It's how people do it, for example, to reroll patterns for state practice. But yeah, Grace isn't a thing in this game.
Yep, there's no grace. There's also no grace particle. Like, it's not like Mountain of Fate, for example, where you have the grace particle, but in practice it doesn't do anything. No, there's just straight up nothing. And grace was not introduced until 2 games later, in Lotus Land Story, where there was also a grace counter. But you know,
Yeah,
we'll get to the
Lotus
game
Land
in
Story
about a half
immediately
hour.
after this.
Yep. Maybe soon at this point he might start no resetting if he wants to finish another run. Because like a run of this game is about like a little over 20 minutes, I think. So it is a pretty short category because there's not really much of a reason to stall in this game besides for Marisa for the orbs. But in this case, Myler didn't even really stall Marisa that much. But if you did stall her all the way, that in itself would be 1.4 million points from the orbs that you get, and that is a lot. And it is also the same score regardless of difficulty. So on the lower difficulty, it's even more worth it to do that. Not only because it's a bigger size of your score, but also because it is easier to survive. There are some mechanics about Marisa that, at least for this showcase, was not explained, but you do also want to time killing the last orb a lot of the time, just so you can get Marisa to not spawn a scary pattern that is based on whichever pattern she was using when she had orbs, because each orb pattern has a corresponding non-orb pattern. So if you know what attack you kill the last orb on, then you know immediately what pattern comes next. So you do tend to not shoot down orbs when a certain attack is coming. And also, one thing that I don't think is going to be relevant, but I might as well explain, is that Marisa can only shoot 5 patterns, and then she will just kill the orbs herself. And when that happens, you do not get any points. So you do actually want to kill the orbs in a timely manner. You don't want to wait too long.
It was more relevant
Okay.
yesterday during the survival competition, since some of the survival strats for consistency on Marisa do utilize that fact. Damn. Well, they do use that fact, especially around, the fact that you can. It was discovered that you can actually manipulate Marisa movements. Myler doesn't do those strats, and also I don't think they would be too relevant to scoring anyway, because in short, but you should watch yesterday's match if you want a full explanation and live demonstration in a survival setting. You can do things to manipulate Marisa's movements, and the survival runs in this game try to misdirect her off screen, so she shoots off screen most of the time, and you get a very safe place to destroy the balls as well. But that's probably not very relevant here because you want to do different things with Marisa, and also if you off-screen her and destroy the orbs off-screen, you don't even get the chance to get the potential power drop.
Yeah, and you only get the power drops if you're not at full power. And even then, the chance of one dropping is not even that high. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily based on how much power you have. Like, I don't know if, for example, you have no power at all. If it's, like, more likely that a power item drops or something, I'm not sure about that.
It sounds like it's too fancy coding for this game.
Well, I think it is fancy coding that soon had this skill verdict at the end of the game that it's based on quite a few components.
Yeah, just for Zoom to tell us very nasty things.
Yep. Well, in this case, he doesn't if you're a super player like Myler.
Yeah. Or any of the other survival players. I think everyone yesterday got a perfect score on Zun's ratings.
Yeah, and that means that it says then it would say something like the Shrine Maiden Beyond the Divinity, or something like that. And actually, also, if you play on lower difficulties, you cannot get 100, because difficulty is one of the things that is factored into the skill verdict. The other two things that it looks at is how many continues you've used, how many lives you've lost, and how many bombs you've used, and then also item skill, which is like its own kind of mechanic in itself, where if you are at like if you pick up power items, that gives you like a point towards, you know, the formula basically, but then if you're at max power and you pick up power items, it's +2. If you collect point items at the highest value, that gives you a lot towards that value, which is like +8. If it's between 20,000 and 51,200, it's +4. If it's 10,000 or above, it's +2. And if it's less, then it's +1, but then you would have to like pick them up almost at the bottom of the screen pretty much. And you also get +16.
Minutes left. So if he wants to put one full run in, he should probably get going now. Because 18 minutes is about the full length run of this game.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a little bit longer, but it also depends on how much time he spends on Mario Simile. But yeah, he probably does want to no resets, or, you know, just play it out until the time is up.
Because he will do the
goes no
showcase after this as well.
Yep. Yeah, if he no resets this run, he can maybe finish it and go maybe a few minutes overtime, but I'm gonna assume that it is something that we can handle. At least with LLS Extra, the runs are going to be a lot shorter, so having a little bit less time for that would not even really be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like a run of LLS Extra would be about 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, the PC98 extras are in general way shorter. SOEW is 5 to 6 minutes and LLSMS are 7 to 8. Meanwhile, EUSD is 8 to 9 depending on your shot, which means that it's not even something that Windows necessarily started. It started with PCB. You end up having really long extra stages.
SOEW Extra is also like really short because you want to go fast, because it has a time bonus. You actually want to kill the extra stage boss as soon as possible, and meanwhile you also want to be using suicides and bombs, because 1, for the items, and 2, it is faster because you can just keep using bombs. But you do actually get less bombs if you play on the extra stage. You only get 1 bomb per life, and if you're on your last life you get 3. So you do have significantly more limitations in terms of how many resources you can spend.
It's been a while since it has been this far into the stage 1. It's very reset heavy. He got to stage 2 a couple of times, but I also didn't work out.
I would say, like, in terms of like Lunatic score categories of like the, you know, the standard format shmup titles in the PC98 games, this one is probably the least reset heavy, because in LLS and MS you have to deal with enemies randomly shooting at you like at random times, so you cannot predict when they shoot, which can be very annoying. And in the case of MS, you also cannot bomb at any point, so it can be pretty annoying. And then there's also just the fact that you want to Gray's stall bosses, and here you don't really have that issue.
Yeah, the random
Also,
MSLLS are very harsh, especially for survival. Wow, that's another crash.
he just decided to reset, so he's probably gonna have to end prematurely, I think. I'm assuming he's kind of looking over at the timer as he is contemplating what he's gonna do with the rest of his time.
Not enough time to clear, Myler says. So what will be done? Does he want to do LLS early? I'll take a rest and then prepare for LLS EX scoring. That's alright then. Well,
Alright.
it's fine. We can discuss the what we just saw then. That's no problem.
Yeah, we have some time then.
Well, you're welcome, Myler. Thank you for your showcase. We will soon see LLS extra scoring also from Myler. There's a random bomb drop there on the demo. That's pretty funny.
I was just gonna comment on that, but you already did for me.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, I do remember that, but I was like, oh yeah, that happens. What is actually kind of interesting about this game is that Zoon actually made a manual on how to score this game and the kind of milestones that you should aim for. And this was specifically for normal mode, I should say. And I believe that the final score that he kind of expected would be reachable was 19 million. And the record right now, I think, is sitting. The world record right now on normal is sitting at 24.3, I think. Also, you can see here on the scoreboard, if you look at the scoreboard, you can actually also see the dates that each of these scores was achieved, which is kind of interesting considering that the other PC98 games don't do that. So I wonder why he stopped doing that. Maybe he thought it was not really important or there was no room for it. I have no idea, but that is something that SUEW actually started.
Yeah. Well, pretty good run. Very first credit of the day, no reset, and he got barely a million off his world record. Very nice. Sadly, the game completely locked him out of playing the video game after the start there, which is a little bit of a shame, but it happens. Oh, wait. I see Myler's activating the game. He will probably show off his cool middies. He stopped playing shmups as when... Oh yeah! There's cool Myler middies! Yeah! Thank you!
Oh yeah, now I can hear them.
Yeah, so Myler likes to use cool MIDI sound fonts when he plays the games.
Yeah, and he does also make a lot of them himself.
Yeah, something he really liked. When Myler was in the hospital earlier this year, he sadly has a few health complications. He still made sure to bring his laptop in and show people his work. He's really proud of the... My cat is on my laptop! Ah! Please! Cat! Yes! Oh, a cat attack. Remusi was taking revenge on the stream. he's playing the extra theme, so that's very fitting. Wait, that's not the extra, right?
No, that's
that's Yuka's themes actually.
Yeah.
Sounds similar to Letty. Does it? Not sure if I agree. If it sounds like Letty.
Yeah, I don't really know the resemblance, but not sure.
I think some of these that he has I think some of them I prefer the FM sound, but some of the MIDI instrumentation that he uses really do make a cool effect, and they, you know, I think some of the MIDIs that he has are really cool. He has a really nice choice of MIDI sound fonts that he likes to use for these.
Yeah.
And he almost always uses them in his run, so it does give them a little bit of a different flavor. Yesterday he also used them as well on the survival match.
Yeah, Zune has actually also made MIDI renditions of a lot of these as well. And at least for this game in particular, there was a lot of unused tracks that aren't in this game, but they do actually show up in the music room of MS, at least most of them.
Yeah, Mystic Square has a really huge... Mystic Square was supposed to be the final game, and it definitely shows with a lot of the ways that it was made, especially with the massive sound room, the music room here, that has multiple pages, and it has all the previous themes as well.
I believe it is also the very last PC98 game to come out.
Yeah, it's tied for the last one, December the 28th, 1998.
Yeah, and MS Extra also has its own ending.
Yeah, MS Extra is also the only extra to have an ending, which is funny.
Yeah, we're going to see or not see that later in this event.
Yeah. I'd say this theme sounds pretty cool here with the sound font. Maybe we'll hear more. Dreamland would be cool to hear. Come on, Myler, give us Dreamland.
I think LS is actually has my favorite soundtrack. Like, I love almost all of the tracks in this game. And Dreamland is definitely one of the ones higher up on that list.
Yeah, Dreamland sounds like one of the more video gamey stage 6 themes, but I like it. I mean, Touhou usually goes for the cinematic or the really dramatic stage 6 themes, or like, you know, the slow build-up stuff. And Anime, you know, Dreamland and a few others, they're just like, it's the final stage. Here's the epic theme you wanted.